So after analysing Jadon Sancho's EpiRef report, there are three main metrics that suggest to me that he could be an excellent wing fielder for Rangnick's side. Now, in one of my previous Manchester United analysis videos, which will be linked in the description, I did bring up the wing fielder term, and a lot of people in the comments said that that was basically a Metzala. And there definitely are similarities, however the role I was describing is slightly different to the traditional Metzala. So what a Metzala is a central midfielder who usually plays in a midfield three, and in possession they drift out wide into the flanks, essentially becoming a left-sided attacker in the final third. However, the role that I was talking about was a central midfielder who stays central and instead is the main ball carrier of the side. Now, I do admit that the term wing fielder is a bit misleading, suggesting that the central midfielder would move out to the wing, but more of what I'm suggesting is that a winger who naturally plays in a wider position would be moved into a central midfield position. And I'll come on to why maybe a side would want to do this, but before I get into that, for cheap good quality football jerseys, retro jerseys and tracksuits, go over to www.jerseyfever.com. I myself have bought a number of different jerseys from Jersey Fever, including this 2003-2004 Manchester United shirt with Ronaldo on the back, and this one's probably my favourite. So if you want a shirt like this, be sure to click the link in the description below and use code ATLANTISFOOTBALL with a space to get 5% off. So before I get on to why a side may look to use a wing fielder in a central position, let me tell you about the first time I really saw a winger being shifted into a central midfield role, and that was Angel Di Maria in the 2013-2014 season under Ancelotti at Real Madrid, and it did prove to be a successful move, with Real Madrid going on to win the Champions League that year. Di Maria played in a central midfield three, playing as the most advanced of the three, with Modric more of a deeper line playmaker and Khedira more of a ball winner sitting behind the play looking to break up opposition attacks. In this role, Di Maria could pick up the ball and drive forward through the centre of the pitch, being an excellent way for Real Madrid to transition the ball into the middle and final thirds. When he first arrived at Manchester United, Van Gaal was using him in a similar central midfield position, playing as a wide midfielder in a diamond, but Di Maria was only able to play in this central midfield role because not only did he have all the attributes of a winger, including the dribbling ability and pace, but also the technical ability and passing that you would need to play in central midfield in the first place. See, in possession, Rangnick's system is based on moving the attack forward as quickly as possible, and in order to do this, you need to either rely on quick forward passes in the form of long passes over the back line to release runners, or shorter passes at pace through the centre of the field, going from one player to the other and manoeuvring the ball into the middle and then final third. Or you can look to progress the attack quickly by having one player carry the ball forward at pace, and usually in a squad the best ball carriers tend to be the wingers. And particularly for Manchester United at this current point, I would say Jadon Sancho is Manchester United's best ball carrier. Now, given my description, I would probably say that a better term for the wing fielder would be a ball carrying central midfielder, as I do think that makes it a lot more clear what the actual role of the player in this position is, and so it does avoid some confusion. The main metrics that I would be looking for in a player to potentially play this role is definitely progressive carries and dribbles, as they are the most important function of this role, having the ability to carry the ball forward up the pitch and therefore progress the attack quickly. But also I do think the player needs a high level of creativity, so expected assist and shot creating actions are always important, and I also think it's good if a player is overperforming their non-penalty XG, as playing this role when they're leading the counter-attack, they're inevitably going to get into goal scoring positions, and so if they are a good finisher under pressure in the box, this is definitely going to be an asset for any side. So if we look at Jadon Sancho's EpiRef report over the last 365 days, when compared against every other midfielder in Europe's top 5 leagues, you can see that he does fit my requirements very well. He ranks in the 96th percentile for progressive carries, the 92nd for dribbles completed, the 80th for expected assists, and he overperforms his non-penalty XG rate by 0.09 goals per 90. This means not only does Jadon Sancho have the ball carrying ability as seen with the dribbles and progressive carries, but he also has a creativity in the final third, and he's also a good finisher when he gets those chances as well. See, when Rangnick was using the 4-2-2 system, Sancho couldn't really play in one of those central midfield roles, as those players do have to be a lot more combative and industrious, and so he has to play in one of those two attacking midfield roles behind the strikers, and this does give him the freedom to either drift between the lines into narrow positions or hold his width on the flank. However, against Aston Villa we did see Rangnick switch to a 4-3-3 system, using Bruno Fernandes and Fred either side of Nemanja Matic in central midfield. However, the problem that Rangnick Rangnick has is this Manchester United side don't really have the central midfielders capable of moving the attack forward at pace. Bruno Fernandes is a very good long passer, but Fred and Matic are very slow on the ball, and the same goes for McTominay as well. I think if you put Jadon Sancho in for Fred, with someone like Matic behind them, whilst on paper there would be a concern that this would leave United far too open, I do think that the system would protect Sancho, as we did see against Aston Villa, as Bruno Fernandes and Fred did a very good job of moving out of the midfield line to apply the pressure to the centre-backs moving forward with the ball when they needed to, but they were very positionally disciplined and organised, and having two other players in that midfield made it easier for United to come across and cover the spaces, stopping gaps opening up in their midfield line. I definitely think that Sancho has the willingness and the discipline to play this role from a defensive point of view, and when United do win the ball back in their own half, they need to be looking for a quick pass into Sancho, which will be a pass that will be on a lot more often if he's playing in central midfield, as when he's out wide it is a lot harder to get the ball out to him. It needs to basically be a long pass over to the flank. One short vertical pass into his feet is going to allow him to then drive forward with the ball, pushing Manchester United's attack forward at pace. Now, a lot of people, including pundits, have been critical of Sancho, saying he doesn't have the pace to play out wide and beat a man. However, if you look at Sancho play at Dortmund, he was very good at carrying the ball in the counter-attack, driving the ball forward at pace, and knowing exactly the right time to play a pass, with him being a specialist at slotting a perfectly weighted pass in behind the opposition's backline to find a forward runner. And I would say that along with Bruno Fernandes, Jadon Sancho is Manchester United's best chance creating player when United look to transition the attack quickly. He's very composed, and often his passes are played at exactly the right time to the right player. So this is definitely going to suit players like Cavani and Ronaldo when they make these early peeling runs down the side of centre backs and are looking for a through pass. See, Sancho isn't what you would call electric without the ball. He doesn't have the pace of someone like Alan St-Maximin or Adama Traore or even Marcus Rashford. However, with the ball at his feet, he's very fast. See, players are obviously going to be a lot slower when they have to dribble with the ball at their feet rather than running without it. And a lot of players, despite being much faster than Sancho, can't move the ball forward as quickly or as efficiently as he can with the ball at his feet. And so I do think that Sancho's pace is quite considerably underrated, because people are just looking at his pace without the ball. When he gets into one-on-one situations on the flank, it's a lot more dependent on quick acceleration to get past a player, whereas when he would be dribbling with the ball through the centre of the pitch, he's not going to be confronted with players in one-on-one situations. Instead, most of the time he's going to be driving into space through the centre of the pitch, and if he is confronted in a one-on-one situation, he's got a lot more space to be able to dribble past that player and continue the attack forward. Now, I think current examples of players who do play this sort of role will definitely be in Manchester City side, with De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva having that ball carrying ability, and when they play in central midfield you can see how good they are at transitioning the attack forward quickly. This is something that Manchester City also had with Yaya Toure back in the day, and another player who has shown glimpses of this ability is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain at Liverpool, playing in Liverpool's central midfield three, but having that dribbling ability to drive the attack forward at pace. I also think players like Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden and Hakim Ziyech could be used in a central midfield position to get the best out of their ball carrying ability, as along with their dribbling ability, all of these players are also fantastic in the final third in terms of creating chances for others and shooting around the box. So I think these three players would be perfect for this role, as well as Jadon Sancho. So if Rangnick did decide to use Sancho in this central position, who should he partner alongside him in central midfield? Well, I think Matic has to play at the moment because he offers United that stability that Fred and McTominay can't seem to do when they play together. So I would go with Matic with Sancho and Fernandes in front of him, and this may seem too attacking, potentially leaving United vulnerable in central midfield when they don't have the ball. However, you've got to remember, if you look at Rangnick's system against Aston Villa, they sat very narrow and compact. If you look at that game, the midfield five was basically playing in the same area that Aston Villa's midfield three was. And because of this tight midfield, the amount of space between each player is heavily reduced, making each player in the centre of that midfield less vulnerable. So if Sancho is bypassed in the centre of the pitch, United will have two players, Matic and Fernandes, in behind him to provide cover. Now, in the long term, if Sancho was to be used in this ball progressing central midfielder role, I do think United would have to bring in a better ball winner, someone with a lot more athleticism than Matic, and I will be releasing a video on which ball winner I would look to bring in for Manchester United as a fourth episode in my How to Create the Perfect Gegenpressing Side for Manchester United series. That series will be linked in the description below, and in one of the episodes I talk about another central midfielder, this time a creative central midfielder that I would look to bring in, and so I would partner that player alongside someone like Chouamani Cavani and Didi. You'll see who I suggest specifically in the ball-winning central midfielder video, but I would partner a ball winner and a more creative, industrious central midfielder with Sancho or Bruno Fernandes as the most advanced player in that midfield three, and in certain games you could even play Sancho and Fernandes ahead of that defensive midfielder that would provide protection. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, remember to subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, and check the description as I have left some other videos that I think you may enjoy linked down there as well.